Hi everybody, foXnoMad here, and today I want to help you travel smarter by showing you everything you can see, do, and eat here in Thimphu, Bhutan. So one of the major attractions here is Buddha Point, which is a massive Buddha statue overlooking the Thimphu Valley. It is way more massive than you imagine at first, and getting up here takes a drive of a solid 10 minutes. You go up a couple hundred meters. You can also cycle up here. There are cycling tours if you want to get a lot of exercise and make your way up the mountain, and then you can go around and get a lot of great photos of this massive Buddha statue that is over here. There's an area overlooking the valley as well, and this big complex is great for pictures. You can get great photos, you can get great views and great sights, and it's just one of the points that you want to make sure that you don't miss when you come here to Thimphu. There's no fee to come into the complex, but if you want to go inside the temple, you do have to take your shoes off. There's some gold work in there and it's nice to walk around. There are no photos allowed inside, but you can go inside, and like I said, it's free to enter. It's hard to get an idea of the scale of the Buddha statue, but it is absolutely massive. Like, you can see some of the people back there, just tiny, and when you come up here you don't think it's going to be that big, and it's absolutely huge. Definitely worth coming here if you're around Thimphu. Definitely worth visiting if you're here in Bhutan. And this is one of those places where you can spend a whole bunch of time taking pictures, going inside of the temple, getting views of the Thimphu Valley below. You can spend as much or as little time as you want. It's just free to wander around. Even though it's pretty crowded today, there are a lot of tourists. It doesn't feel crowded just because this complex, this area is just so massive. Now, Thimphu is considered the big city here in Bhutan, but it's not really a big city. It's pretty sleepy, quiet. Compared to Paro, it is a bigger city, but it's not a huge place. There are a lot more shops, a lot more restaurants here, and a little bit more activity. It's a little bit bigger and more spread out, but it's not huge by any means. Now, once you get back down into the valley from Buddha Point, there are a few spots you can see and a few places you can eat, and you'll probably be hungry by about now, so let's get some lunch. So this place, Zumbala, is tucked away right in this little alley here. There are two of these. There's a Zumbala 1 and a Zumbala 2 here in Thimphu, and I'm told they have some of the best momos that I can find in Bhutan. And if you're not sick of momos yet, if you're in Bhutan, you're gonna eat a lot of momos, so you're gonna try all the momos everywhere, and they say the momos here are especially good. So like most places here in Bhutan, you're going to look at the menu and write down your own order for the waiter. Now the trip from Paro to Thimphu takes about an hour and a half. Even though the distance is pretty short, it's about 50 kilometers or about 15 miles, the ride takes about an hour and a half. And that's because the roads twist and turn through the mountains. Drivers don't go very fast. The speed limit is pretty slow. People do pass on the mountain roads, so people take their time and they're very careful. So just allow yourself about 90 minutes to get here. And then once you're in Thimphu, it's a pretty walkable city. Most things that you want to see are going to be fairly close to the center. And if you're orienting yourself, the center of town is the clock tower. That's a good sort of point of interest to base yourself around. So it's easy to find. Everyone will know where it is, and you can kind of map out your day and where you want to go from there. Zumbala is about a 10-minute walk uphill straight from the clock tower. Alright, so with your momos you get your broth. This is a vegetable stock broth. So it's basically vegetable stock. You can get this in chicken stock or beef stock with salt, as well as the parsley and the chopped onion. It's kind of a sort of a palate cleanser that goes with the momos. They put the chopped onions after they've cooked the soup, so it kind of cooks toward the end if they're making the broth, but that leaves the onions crunchy. Alright, so time to open up one of these bad boys. Cheese momos, which are basically cheese with a lot of cabbage. Not a lot of cheese, not a ton of cheese in here. Mostly cabbage, sour taste. Again, this one doesn't have a lot of flavor on its own, so that's where this bad boy comes in. Alright my friends, this is where the Momo magic happens. It is all about the sauce. Momos are all about the sauce, and just look at this one. This red tomato sauce with these chili flakes, like a ton of chili flakes just in here. This is gonna be hot. I'm really excited. I'm gonna pour some over my momo. That is a ton of chili sauce on this momo. You see how hot this is. Oh yeah, that is really hot. I'm just crunching into those chili flakes, and it's instant, just fire through my pores of my face. But it's really good, actually very flavorful. You kind of use that to temper the chili, which is or just mix it around in your mouth. It's a lot hotter now. I think that's the spiciest momo sauce that I've had here in Bhutan. Really good, opening up my sinuses. I'm sweating and I'm loving it. I would say I like these momos. They're very simple, not very oily, and the chili is hot. So Zumbala, good momos here in Thimphu. So as we walk to the next site that I want to show you here in Thimphu, I just had to swing by the post office. Now it's Sunday and it's closed today, but on any other day of the week, if you come here, you can have a unique experience where if you bring a picture of yourself, either on a file, on a USB drive, or on your phone, you can get stamps printed with your face on it. And then you can send a postcard to your friends and family anywhere in the world with the most ridiculous or the most, cool and calm picture that you want. Just a fun experience to have while you're here in Thimphu. Now another site you can visit here in the southern part of Thimphu is the Thimphu Chorten or Thukpa. This is a religious site where tourists can enter for 500 Noltrum, so you can go inside and walk around. They do allow photographs, but no videos, so videos aren't allowed. You can just take some pictures from the outside as you walk around. Keep in mind, if you're going to walk here from the center of town, it takes about 15 minutes and it's pretty uphill, so just keep that in mind. If you're going to be walking, it's going to be a little bit uphill, so if you're not a strong walker, just make sure that you take your time, or you can also take a taxi here from the center of Thimphu. It's known as the most iconic religious symbol here in Bhutan, and if you're going to visit, you can set aside about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes to walk around. If you have a guide, they're going to explain to you a lot more than I'm explaining to you right now, but a guide is not necessary to get in. Remember, if you've seen some of my other videos, I said that previously, before, visitors needed a guide during their time here in Bhutan. Right now, it's not needed. Just make sure you check the latest. However, some people, as well as the security here, was a little confused as to whether a guide is required or not. But you can travel here solo if you want to. It's a nice place to visit here in Thimphu. It's relaxing. It's definitely a cultural experience, and I think you'll enjoy your time here. Alright, so this is known as the Zone. It is one of the more popular places here, probably because it has a pretty big bar that makes good drinks apparently, but they've also got a restaurant, so I've come here to have some lunch. So when we're talking about Thimphu, it's a kind of city that you can see everything in a day, maybe two. In other words, it's not a spectacular city. You're not going to want to spend a ton of time here. You're going to see some of the major sites and the major restaurants and get all the food really quickly, relatively quickly. But in terms of jumping off point, it is further into the east of the country, so that's a good jumping off point to other famous tourist places here in the country. It's going to save you that hour and a half from having to leave from Paro. So what most people do is spend a couple of days in Paro, they come to Thimphu for a couple of days, and then use it as a jumping off point to other nearby spots. Alright, so this is an egg Thukpa, which is basically noodles in vegetable broth with eggs on top, and it's got some spicy pepper here and this white pepper here, which I've been warned about. It apparently sticks to your tongue, so I've been told to use just very little bits of it. I haven't tried it before, so I'm gonna just jump into this broth and see what that tastes like. Very, very salty. Now the food in Bhutan, I've noticed, hasn't been so salty, but this has a lot of salt. Just look at that big chunk of egg. Inside here we've got some spinach, we've got some parsley, as well as chopped carrots, and of course red pepper. And they've just really whipped the hell out of these eggs because they're so light and fluffy. Oh yeah, getting some of those red pepper flakes as well, which is not surprising. The food in Bhutan is spicy, and honestly, I'm all about it. Alright, I'm just gonna take a little bit of this just to give it a taste. Put that on my spoon just to give that a little bit of a taste. That is a very sour tomato. It's almost like a vinegar and not very spicy. Just a little bit of a tingle in my mouth. It's just a little. Okay, so maybe a little bit more than that. It's building up. Slow build, and I'm gonna say solid 6 out of 10 spicy, maybe 6.5. This spice is just giving you the kind of like, it's a tingling feeling. It's right in the middle of my tongue and around my lips where it's made contact, and it's just sort of like little bubbles popping. It's just like little bzzz, kind of electricity of spice. Alright, now I'm really curious about this white pepper. It said just a little bit. They said it will kind of stick to your tongue, and I want to try that. I'm just gonna take a little bit of that. It's strong. I can see why they told me not to put too much. It would be really overpowering. All right, time to really mix in that pepper into the broth here. I'm gonna say if there's a key, an underrated part of Bhutanese cuisine, it's the sauces. It's all the spice. It's the variety of flavors that you add to your dish as much as you want in the quantities that you want. But without that, you know, you can really sort of underestimate Bhutanese cuisine. But I think it's all about the sauces. That goes for Momos, that goes for Thukpa too. All at the bottom. It's really hot. I'm gonna finish that up, but holy man, it's hot. But also I wanted to ask you about the white pepper, or the one on the side. What is it?
That's a Sichuan wild pepper. In the forest, you will get it in forest. But some people harvest it in their farm also.
Okay.
But it's a very strong taste,
Yes.
not simple. It vibrates in your tongue like tingy flavor. But some people might get. There was once a customer. He had a heart problem. I think he couldn't breathe after having that.
Oh, okay.
So I every time remind people
Okay.
to be careful.
Good to know. Good to know. Thank you.
What your guide saying?
Just waiting outside. All right, so the last major place I recommend that you visit while you're in Thimphu, right outside the city, it's just like a 10-minute drive, is the Thimphu Dzong. Now, there are a couple of things to know about this place. One, it costs 500 Niltrum to get in, to get a ticket, and you will need a guide to go inside. They're pretty strict about the guide rule here, so make sure that you have a guide before you get here so you can visit inside the Dzong. Now, you won't be able to take pictures or video when you go inside. You can take pictures and video of the exterior. There are a couple of places, like there are these security guards who are waiting outside of the flag, and there are a couple of murals that are on the outside of the Dzong that you can take pictures and video of, but once you go inside you won't be able to use your camera, so just keep that in mind. And this Dzong is absolutely massive. You can easily spend an hour or two just walking around the exterior and interior and taking it all in, and just make sure you take your time and enjoy it while you're here in Thimphu. And as soon as you get out of Thimphu just a little bit, it gets a lot quieter. There are less cars here, less traffic. You get a lot more of the nature, these beautiful green trees on these mountains. The day is absolutely perfect. The weather is absolutely perfect. I hope it's wonderful for you when you visit here and you can get outside the city a little bit. But I hope this video helps you plan out a trip if you're going to be in Thimphu for some things to see and do in and around the city. But if you have any questions, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'll have new videos for you every week, and I'll see you in the next video.